Hello and welcome to Access Asia with me, Yuka Huaye. Our top headlines this week. A prominent opposition politician loses his seat in the Indian parliament after he received a jail sentence over a remark he made about the surname Modi. A step towards regaining innocence. A Japanese court has ordered a retrial of a man who spent nearly half a century on death row. What does this tell us about the criminal justice system there? We'll speak to an expert. And as Thailand's prized beaches shrink, locals are doing what they can to stop coastal erosion by setting up sea dikes and even filling up receding coastlines with extra sand. India's parliament has expelled Rahul Gandhi, a top opposition figure to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The vote came a day after a court sentenced him to 2 years in jail for defamation over a remark he made back in 2019, in which he referred to thieves as having the surname Modi. Gandhi is appealing the sentence, while some of his allies say the court's ruling was politically motivated. Brian Quinn has more.
Outside Surat District Court in Gujarat, protests break out as supporters of Rahul Gandhi learn that he has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for defamation. The 52-year-old is a leading figure in India's National Congress Party, the main political opposition to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling BJP. At a 2019 rally, Gandhi noted that the Prime Minister, though not related, shares a last name with 2 other Modis notorious for corruption scandals, wondering why all these thieves have Modi as their surname. A BJP lawmaker also surnamed Modi filed a complaint on the grounds that the speech was defamatory to the Modi community. The name is common among lower levels of India's traditional caste system.
We respect criticism, but Rahul Gandhi doesn't criticize. Rahul Gandhi defames the country, democracy, and the people.
Gandhi says his comments were aimed only at corruption. His supporters and some legal experts dispute the court's ruling, saying a common last name does not make a community. They say the government is abusing the law to sideline a prominent critic, the latest in what rights groups are calling a trend of politically motivated legal actions.
The government is scared of Rahul Gandhi, and because of that fear, they're trying to suppress him. But Rahul Gandhi will not be threatened.
Gandhi is the scion of India's first modern political dynasty and a star campaigner. His 2-year sentence comes 1 year ahead of crucial legislative elections, severely complicating an expected bid to challenge Narendra Modi as he seeks his 3rd term as Prime Minister next year.
At 87 years old, Iwao Hakamada is on the verge of finding true freedom, more than 5 decades after being sentenced to death for murders he says he did not commit. Tokyo's High Court ordered a retrial this month, acknowledging that key evidence that led to his conviction had likely been fabricated by investigators. After initially admitting to killing 4 people in 1966, Hakamada maintained his innocence throughout his trial, saying he had been forced to confess. Prosecutors presented pieces of blood-stained clothes as evidence, even though they were too small for him. He was temporarily released from prison in 2014 after more than 45 years on death row, mostly in solitary confinement, but is still not officially cleared of his charges. His 90-year-old sister voiced relief as prosecutors decided not to appeal the latest ruling.
Thank you so much. I had been waiting for this day for 57 years, and it has finally come. Thank you.
Well, along with the United States, Japan is one of the few developed countries that maintain capital punishment. For more, let's bring in Chiara Sangiorgio, death penalty advisor at Amnesty International, who joins us from London. Chiara, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Mr. Hakamada is set to become the 6th death row convict to be exonerated in post-war Japan. What does this tell us about the continued use of capital punishment in that country?
Thank you. This has been an astonishing case. Not only we have the man who has been fighting to clear his name for over 50 decades, who has been released from death row in 2014, with the court saying that there were clear hints of its potential innocence and that the evidence looked like it could have been fabricated. We also saw the prosecution in the past 10 years continue to oppose his release, continuing to oppose his call for a retrial. And that shows very much a keenness on the side of the prosecution to seek death no matter what. We had a man who was drawn to developing mental health issues while he was on death row, fighting for his name, to clear his name, being held in solitary confinement, waiting for execution possibly any day because executions are carried out in secret. It's been an astonishing result. It's something that the authorities of Japan should really learn from to make sure that this doesn't happen again, but also that the other cases that are in similar conditions to that of Mr. Hakamada's clearly very soon can have the possibility of a review of their case and potentially clear their names as well.
Now, Chiara, Japan's criminal justice system has come under international scrutiny for its very high conviction rate of over 99%, as well as for its reliance on confessions. How does this compare to other countries?
It's not, unfortunately, an uncommon feature when you talk about the death penalty. We're seeing police interrogations that are carried out without the lawyer present, as was the case for Mr. Hakamada's, and as is the case for many others on death row currently in Japan. We have seen police interrogations not being recorded. That is something that has improved in Japan. The police interrogations now are video recorded, but it remains still a disturbing feature in many other countries, like from Iran, where we see entire convictions based on statements that are later retracted in court, and the judge imposing the death sentence without even questioning whether there was full play or torture actually being handed down towards the prisoners to get a confession. It is a sad reality of the death penalty all over the world, and it's something that we continue to denounce. And it's appalling that at this day and age, we still hold this as a base to take people's lives in the name of justice.
And more broadly speaking, how does Japan's human rights record stand among its peers?
Japan has a great reputation in terms of being a kind of G8 country. It's one of the only two countries in the G8 that still carries out executions. We are seeing the death penalty being carried out in secrecy, no warning being given. So people spend decades waiting for, wondering if their day would be the day they're living. It will be their last. We're seeing still, like, Japan doesn't have an independent human rights commission. We are seeing discrimination still being a widespread concern. So it's really high time that Japan earned its name in the G8 and among the most developed countries as a leader also when it comes to human rights. And we call on the government to take swift steps to reform its laws, including the criminal justice system.
Chiara Sangiorgio from Amnesty International, thank you very much for your insight.
Thank you for having me.
With thousands of kilometers of coastlines and hundreds of islands, Thailand's shores are a big attraction for beach lovers. But the tourist destination is seeing its most popular spots slowly disappear due to erosion. Authorities are doing what they can to protect Thailand's natural beauty and jobs that depend on the tourism industry. Selina Sykes has more.
They're Thailand's national treasure and a major tourist attraction, though these beaches' days could soon be numbered as they continue to slowly disappear due to rising sea levels and erosion caused by climate change, as well as the country's booming development.
I'm older, and then I can see this. But for the future, for the new generation, I think it's a big problem.
800 kilometers of beaches, that's a quarter of Thailand, are shrinking by a few meters every year on average, according to studies. It's the case for Koh Kud, a small idyllic island off Thailand's southeastern coast near Cambodia. For tourists, it means fewer prime sunbathing spots. For these beach volleyball players, it means a change of terrain. But for many locals who work in the tourism sector, it could affect their livelihoods. Employees at this hotel right by the water are worried about the future.
We also prepare ourselves all the time to maybe build something or move something. Maybe this bar change to be have second floor to prepare that once the water comes, we also have opportunity to have a job.
60% of Koh Khud's economy is dependent on tourism and accounts for 2,000 jobs. With fears the tide of tourism will recede if beaches continue to disappear, the island has started to build sea dikes. 125 were built in Thailand between 2015 and 2022 at the cost of €200 million. Though for this specialist, there are some major disadvantages.
The another area will have an erosion, so we construct another seawall, and it's like a never-ending story.
The shores of Pattaya have attracted tourists for decades. Its beaches, which used to measure 30 metres in width, have been reduced to just a few metres. The coastal city has opted for another way to stop them from disappearing, by rebuilding them, using tons and tons of sand. This stretch of beach is back to its original size, compared to this part where work hasn't started yet. At €16 million, it's an expensive project, but one local authorities say is essential for the economy.
It's worth it because Pattaya is a tourist destination known across the world, and its beaches are part of its business. So these improvements make the landscape more attractive for tourists, even if it costs more and more money.
Help from mankind, that is not a one-off. The restored beaches are expected to last for between 10 to 15 years.
And finally, Japan's Prime Minister found himself in the hot seat following his surprise visit to Ukraine over a gift he offered his counterpart. It looked something like this, but a giant version measuring half a metre. Now, wooden rice scoops with a wish written on them, like this, are a popular souvenir from Prime Minister Kishida's native Hiroshima. During Japan's war with Russia in the 1900s, some soldiers are said to have bought them as a good luck charm. The one offered to President Zelensky had Hisho, meaning must win, written across it. This triggered a wave of ridicule on social media. Opposition lawmakers have also criticised the Prime Minister in Parliament. That's it for this week's edition of Access Asia. Do stay tuned to France 24. There's more world news coming up.